Um, it's been a few years since I've sat down and did a conscious recording for a YouTube video. But here we are. I'd love to say that this is like, I just felt this like overwhelming urge to share things and give back. But this is capitalism, and YouTube told me that I need to post a video or I lose my monetization. And I still get checks, which is nice. And it's all due to mostly the ferret video that I posted um, like 6 years ago, and it has like 2 million views on it. So I would like to keep collecting that. But I also haven't really updated you all in a while. And I used to hate when I would vibe with a channel, especially for trans people, and they would document their journeys and they would talk about their experiences, and I felt like it was a really valuable thing. And once they were like 3 years on T, it just kind of stopped. And it's hard to find that representation of trans men that aren't just like, this is my voice on T, like 10 months in. So now I do feel like I have some things to say, some perspective. I guess I am an elder trans man, which is fun. Um, so yeah, maybe I'll introduce myself again. So hi everybody, my name is Harrison Browne. I am a 31. I was gonna say 32, but I'm not 32. I'm a 31-year-old trans man based out of Toronto, Canada, and I have been on testosterone for 6 years, and I am around 6 years post-op top surgery too. Um, that's not my only identity, but I thought that that'd be relevant information for any trans man that is watching this. So yeah, little life updates for me. In the last 4 years, I used to have ferrets named Sawyer and Brutus. I loved them very, very much. Unfortunately, they have passed away. Um, they both got cancer, and it's been about 4 years since I've had them. Now I have two Bengal cats that I love very, very much. Their names are Mike and Donnie. Um, here's Donnie watching me. I don't know where Mike is, but maybe if Mike shows his face, I will show you. So I used to be a professional hockey player, and that was my entire identity for a very long time. I retired when I was 24 in 2018, and now I am a filmmaker. Um, that identity took me a long time to feel comfortable saying. It's very odd to have an identity shift, a career shift, what have you. But I always identified as an athlete for a very long time, and I was really excited to give up athletics because I wanted to physically transition. And I couldn't do that while I was playing hockey. So I played women's hockey um, in the NWHL. And yeah, it was something, that entire journey, obviously, you can go through all my videos, was a huge part of my life. And now it doesn't even feel, I don't even really think about it that much. Um, but it took me a long time to be able to figure out who I was outside of hockey. And it also took me a long time to figure out who I was as a man. And I'm still figuring that out. I think a lot of my videos at the beginning were talking about physical changes, of course, on T. And I thought that I knew who I was as I was doing that. But I I have like, I'm sure a lot of trans people vibe with this, but I have like this like 2.0 identity where I started out on T, and then I quickly shifted to being an actor from a hockey player. So I was like moving into new gender roles, moving into being a new gender in society. Like I was always a man in my mind, but now I was going through life being viewed as a man, and I went through puberty. I went through puberty at 24, and I think I really reverted to like a 16-year-old boy. And now that I'm like 5 years on T, I feel like I'm finally feeling like my age as like a 31-year-old man is an identity that I like really vibe with. But it took me a long time to get to that point. Like I had a lot of imposter syndrome around men. That was part of my journey because I was just always around women. I played women's hockey. Went I like only hung out with my hockey team, and being around cis men was something that was really scary for me. And then I was like thrown into these acting classes and being really vulnerable with men in a way that I never had before. And I think acting really brought me into spaces where I had to interact with cis men in a way that is not stereotypically masculine, I guess. Like there's like a lot of men crying in class. There's a lot of men being very vulnerable, wearing their hearts on their sleeves and showing their insecurities and stuff. Like the acting industry, the entertainment industry is a very insecure industry. I can say that I was very insecure in moments, and I still am very insecure in moments. But for me, it showed me that cis men are just like everybody else. And I started to become friends with men. I started to act with men. I've started to be intimate with men. And I am no longer scared of men. I feel like I am a man, so why would I be scared of myself? But it took me a long time to own that identity. I think really it was only like a couple of years ago. So like 4 years on T is where I started to kind of feel like a man and forget that I was transitioning and just figuring out who I was as a person. And it's been challenging. It's been rewarding. And like, yeah, I posted my last video 4 years ago. I went through two relationships. I'm currently in a relationship right now with somebody that I love deeply. And yeah, the last two relationships that I've been in, the first relationship, the person really didn't like men. And that's not a uncommon thing that I've seen within the queer community, especially people that are newly queer, can really feel that cis men are the enemy. And that was like a big part in that relationship of men being bad. And that was a narrative that I always had surrounding me. Like, not all the time, but for the most part, people talked about men being the enemy and like cis straight men are the worst. And you don't realize how much you carry that into your transition when that's all you hear. I think a very common path of trans men is being a lesbian at first and then being a retired lesbian and being a straight trans man. And that was something that was an identity that I really vibed with for a bit, straight trans man. But I didn't realize how much animosity I was harboring against men. And that means I was harboring it against myself. And I love men now because I love myself now. And yeah, I just feel like a whole person that sees the world not so broken up into gender. And it's really nice to have male friends. It's really nice to have that camaraderie. This is so rambly, but I'm gonna post this, so great. Um, but yeah, like I feel like a human. I feel whole. Not that everything's great. Like I still have crippling moments of anxiety, and I still have really big moments of doubt, and insecure moments where I question if I'm man enough in spaces. But I know that cis men also feel that way, so it doesn't feel like a trans-related conundrum anymore. Um, it feels more universal, and I think that that's like the whole thing that's happened in the last 6 years is my challenges where I thought were isolated to me and the trans community are not. And we're all just humans just trying to figure it out. And I think once I humanized like the straight community, the cis community, I was able to humanize myself. Um, so that's been the biggest kind of shift. Yeah, and the relationship that I'm in right now, that kind of discussion around cis men being bad is not part of the equation. This person has a lot of relationships with men, friendships, brothers, romantic past with men that is very positive, and it's really nice to have somebody speak positively about men, and that makes me feel really good as a man going through society, um, and being who I am. Because men are good. So I don't know why this is turning into like I love men. But I think that's like the biggest change is feeling secure within that space. So that's been really, really nice. I have a mustache now. That also is very, very nice. I'm also growing some chin hair. That's not exactly where I want it to be yet. Growing that out. But that's been very, very fun. So, yeah. But a fun fact, I dye this. So this is all mine, but it was like completely blonde. And I thought that I couldn't grow a mustache, but then I booked an acting role where they wanted me to have a mustache, and I was like, I can't really do it. They're like, just grow what you can and come to set. And so I grew it, and it was like this like white hair that was like about that long. And then they took like mascara and some stuff, and they like painted it on the makeup department. And I suddenly had this mustache, and I saw myself, and I was like, I can do this. Like this is something that I grew, and that all I need to do is like put some color on it, and it looks like this. So yeah, I've been hooked. I've had a mustache for about a year now, and I use Just for Men. I used to use Just for Men like the mascara stick that they had, but I wanted something permanent so that I didn't have to do that every morning or worry about it like rubbing off. So yeah, I dye it like every 2, 3 weeks. Takes 5 minutes. I also dye my eyebrows, and that's something that's really helped me feel very masculine and very nice about my appearance. And there's no shame in having to dye a mustache like trans men. Cis men also do it. That was something that was like really validating for me to hear like some of my cis male friends be like, yeah, I dye my mustache. I have patches and I dye my facial hair. And it just kind of gave me that permission to do that myself. And it's the best. Like I feel the best I've ever felt. I feel like I look the best I've ever looked. Um, and yeah, it's just really nice to experiment with certain things. Like this is like brand new, and who knows? I don't know what it'll be in like a couple months, but it's just nice to try out new things. So yeah, I don't know. I feel a lot of peace, and um, I'm just very grateful of the journey that I'm in, the community that I'm surrounded by, this new career path as a filmmaker. Is very difficult, is but also is very rewarding. I've made 2 movies in the last year. Um, my biggest one is Pink Light coming out. We're not done editing that. I've learned a lot of lessons. I've gone through a lot of really stressful things. Making that film almost broke me. Um, but it's also been one of the most exciting experiences that I've had in my entire life. And I feel like it's just the beginning of something. And it's also very, very exciting. So, yeah, this is just like a little update on how life is. Um, just saying hello to you all. And I'm not going to promise that I'm going to make a lot of videos. I don't know if I will. But it's nice to check in like this. And yeah. Oh, another thing, I wrote a book. I wrote a book this year, which is crazy. We finished it. It's called Let Us Play, and it's about gender diverse athletes and their ability to play within sports all over the world. And there's a little bit of my story. We interviewed lots of athletes, lots of families from all over the world, Olympians, professionals, and kids. And I just think I'm very proud of it. I wrote it with my sister, and it's coming out in May. of 2025. And I think that this topic is extremely important, especially what we're seeing coming out of the States and the recent election. It's all very, very scary things. But I think that um, we need to educate ourselves on transgender people as a whole, and we also need to educate ourselves on transgender athletes because that was such a sticking point in this recent election, and it's really disappointing to see trans people's lives be used as political pawns. But this book is a way for trans people to get their voices back, is a way to debunk myths, correct misinformation that is being spread all over the media, um, and just spread some trans joy. So I'll keep you all posted on that, and I can't wait to share it with you all soon. Um, okay, well, this has been lovely, absolutely lovely. So I hope you're all well and take care. See ya.